For those of you in the chamber, the Senate will stand at ease until after the Rules Committee meeting.
I want to give everybody a quick update. Obviously, rules took a little longer than first expected. Here's the posture that we're in. We're waiting for Legislative Council to work through perfecting the rules amendments or the rule subs that were added in the Rules Committee meeting. So that's going to take just a little bit longer. In the meantime, we're going to take up a couple of measures starting in 5 minutes. We're going to take up a handful of measures that are still on the table in 5 minutes. So just pass the word around to folks that are hanging out in their offices to come back to the floor within the next 5 minutes, and we'll start taking up the Senate's business. All right, the Senate will come back to order. Mr. Secretary, will you please read the report of a committee?
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 445, due pass by substitute. House Bill 680, due pass. House Bill 767, due pass. House Bill 744, due pass. House Bill 790, due pass. House Bill 792, due pass. House Bill 777, due pass. House Bill 761, due pass. House Bill 766, due pass. House Bill 778, due pass. House Bill 768, due pass. House Bill 709, due pass. House Bill 803, due pass. House Bill 801, due pass. House Bill 795, due pass. House Bill 791, due pass. House Bill 800, due pass. House Bill 794, due pass. House Bill 799, due pass. House Bill 765, due pass. House Bill 793, due pass. House Bill 802, due pass. House Bill 770, due pass. House Bill 763, due pass. House Bill 804, due pass. House Bill 764, due pass. House Bill 759, due pass by substitute. House Bill 743, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th, Chairman. This completes the order, Mr. President.
For what purpose does the senator from the 41st rise?
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 34th.
Without objection, the senator from the 34th is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 25th for a motion.
I ask for unanimous consent to remove House Bill 32 from the table, please.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
House Bill 32 by Representatives Belton of the 112th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 9 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to grants for educational programs, so as to establish a teacher recruitment and retention program for a refundable income tax credit for teachers who agree to teach in certain rural schools and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Finance recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Hofstetler of the 52nd, Chairman. Senate Finance offers the following substitute to House Bill 32, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 9 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to grants for educational programs so as to establish a teacher recruitment and retention program for a refundable income tax credit for teachers who agree to teach in certain rural schools and for other purposes. This completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 25th has asked for unanimous consent to take House Bill 32 off the table. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it's taken off the table. The chair recognizes the senator from the 25th to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise at this late hour to bring to you House Bill 32, which is a bill that a representative from Morgan County has worked on for 3 years now, and he's one of my representatives. And it pertains to tax credits, which I, along with the good finance chair in our body, has been a strong critic of tax credits here in the last few years because I always feel like it leaves out their average everyday people here in the great state of Georgia, the ones that I'd like to say consider them in the trenches of making day-to-day operations happen. And this bill deals with a group of people that are well-deserving of recognition, and that is our school teachers. This tax credit right here would allow the Board of Education, State Board of Education, to set up a pilot program which over 382 of our school systems would qualify for, and they would pick 100 school systems in what we consider low-achieving school districts. Could be inner city, could be rural counties, but it will allow those teachers, new or either existing educators, to go into a school system and receive a tax credit up to 5 years of their salary. So I know I can see some questions that are inquiring minds thinking, so I'll yield the well here, or actually I'll take questions for anybody that has any right now.
You have no questions.
I ask for your favorable consideration, Senator from the 19th. Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 32? The chair sees none. The question's on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Chair wants to remind the senator from the 56th that today is day 39. For what purpose of the pro tem rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that this is day 39 and the senator from the 56 is an eager beaver making his confetti?
I'm not certain I know what the gentleman speaks. For what purpose does the eager beaver senator from the 56 rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State that
Mr. President.
inquiry.
Isn't it true sine die could actually be any day?
Certainly that could be true, but not today. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted? We got one coming. I bet I know which one that is. All right, Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Mr. Chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to remove House Bill 282 from the table.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
House Bill 282 by Representatives Meeks of the 178th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 13 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to ad valorem taxation of qualified timberland property so as to add a definition to limit the determination of fair market value to weighted market and income approach to valuation, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Finance recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd, Chairman. Senate Finance offers the following substitute to House Bill 282, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 13 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to ad valorem taxation of qualified timberland property so as to add a definition to limit the determination of a fair market value to a weighted market and income approach of valuation, and for other purposes. This completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 52nd has asked for unanimous consent for House Bill 282 to be taken off the table. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is taken off the table. The chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is not a fiscal bill with a fiscal impact. This bill deals with timberland property. The House bill wanted to correct some errors. It said if the land was not contiguous because of a road or right-of-way, a county line, railroad, that kind of thing, that it would all be contiguous. You have to have 50 acres to qualify in this. They also were changing the income versus market approach, which had been at 50-50. We changed that back to 50-50 with some help from the senator from the 8th who helped, though not a member of Finance Committee, helped us through some of this. It sets in some requirements to certify it, and we also added their one way to certify the land up to 4 because the only way they had in there looked pretty expensive. Anyway, that's the basis of the bill, is to make sure that land contiguous doesn't change because of something on the property, railroad, easement, things like that. Any questions? If not, I'll yield to Will.
You have no questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 282? For what purpose does the senator from the 19th rise?
Mr. President, I ask that we excuse the senator from the 6th for business outside the chamber.
Without objection, the senator from the 6th is excused. Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 282? The chair sees none. The questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? You still didn't vote. Are you the senator from the 2nd? You're good. Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to remove House Bill 287 from the table.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 287 by House Bill 287 by Representatives Rich of the 97th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to competencies in core curriculum so as to include tobacco and vapor products in the course of instruction regarding alcohol and drugs required each year for all students in grades kindergarten through 12 and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Payne of the 54th, Chairman. The Senate Committee on Education and Youth offers the following substitute to House Bill 287, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to competencies and core curriculum so as to include human trafficking awareness for grades 6 through 12 in the course of instruction regarding health and physical education and for other purposes. This completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 32nd has asked for unanimous consent that House Bill 287 be taken off the table. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and House Bill 287 is removed from the table. Chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd to present the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is about vaping, and this bill started with a meeting with Girl Scout Troop 13560. The girls were very concerned about vaping by teenagers. They had a big list of ideas, and we finally worked with the representative from the 97th District on an education bill. The bill adds vapor products to a health and physical education curriculum that already includes alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. In addition, our First Lady, who is passionate about fighting human trafficking, has requested an addition of that subject to the curriculum. This bill illustrates to our young people that they can influence the legislative process, and I would appreciate your support. Happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 287? The chair sees none. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Chair recognizes the Majority Whip for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we remove House Bill 328 from the table.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption of House Bill 328.
House Bill 328 by Representatives Montahan of the 17th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 46 of the OCGA relating to telephone service general provisions so as to establish a one-time right-of-way permit fee and reduce annual right-of-way fees as due compensation paid to municipal authorities by telephone companies that do not have retail and user customers located within the boundaries of the municipal authority and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th, Chairman. Senator Ginn of the 47th and others offers the following Amendment 1 to amend House Bill 328 by replacing 5C with 5 cents with 20 cents on line 281. Senator Ginn of the 47th and others offers the following Amendment 2 to amend House Bill 328 by replacing lines 268 and 269 with the following. If a telephone company is not paying due compensation under paragraph 9 of this subsection, then the following shall apply, and for other purposes. This completes the order, Mr. Senator Ginn of the 47th and others offers the following amendment to amend House Bill, following Amendment 3 to amend House Bill 328 by replacing lines 268 and 269 with the following. If a telephone company does not have retail and user customers located within the boundaries of municipal authority, then the following shall apply, and for other purposes. This completes the order, Mr. President.
The Majority Whip has asked for unanimous consent to take House Bill 328 off the table. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is removed from the table. The chair recognizes the Majority Whip to speak to House Bill 328 and the amendments.
Number 3. Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, I guess this is our 4th year working on broadband issues, and we don't ever want to go home before we pass a good broadband bill, and this is a bill that we believe, thank you, that will continue the expansion and deployment of broadband throughout our state. As you all know, the federal government has already deployed several $100 million of federal funds called RDOF funds into Georgia, and with the anticipation of $4.7 billion in federal funds coming to the state treasury this summer, we anticipate spending more of that money for broadband as well. One of the issues that we have faced over the years during the study committee that we did 4 years ago, we discovered some of the barriers to entry for the internet providers and the phone companies have been government regulations and fees. And those fees are spread out through the state and local governments. I'm going to talk a little bit about some topics like franchise fees and due compensation. But before I do, let me just tell you that some of you have gotten calls or emails from some of your mayors back home. Let me just say with some of the amendments that we're going to talk about tonight, I believe GMA has taken a stand-down position for tonight so we can continue working on this tomorrow with the House. House Bill 328 is an opportunity to fix a glitch that is in current law. If you are a telephone company or a cable company or a utility company in Georgia, you pay what's called a franchise fee or due compensation fee in a city. County governments do not collect franchise fees, only cities do. Counties are allowed to collect the franchise fees on cable services, but no other franchise fees are collected outside the municipalities. Typically, that fee for telephone services inside a municipality is set at 3% of the revenue that they generate. Cable companies pay 5% of their revenues for their franchise fees, and I believe the electric companies are paying 4%. So that's a lot of money that's being paid to the cities around our state. In addition to the franchise fees, they pay sales tax, property tax, all the other fees that go with permitting their infrastructure in the public right-of-ways. And I admit it costs money to maintain our public right-of-ways at the state and local levels, but the fee structure that is in place today on the broadband companies and telephone companies are making it prohibitive of them to expand and push around the rural areas especially. So what this bill does, it allows for what's called a default rate is already in current law. So if a telephone company has a fiber line or a telephone line that simply is passing through a city and not selling services to a customer, that's called a retail customer. If a telephone company does not have a retail customer in that city, if they're just passing through that city to get to the other side of town or to get across to the other side of the county, then there's not a franchise fee collected, because 3% of zero obviously is zero. So what cities have been doing for the last 10 or 20 years is collecting a default rate, which was set back 20 or 30 years ago by the DOT, and that fee was set on a linear mile. Some of those fees are as high as $5,000 per mile. In rural areas, that fee was lowered to $1,000 per mile. That fee is based on the DOT rate, and that rate is based on average daily traffic counts on those city streets and those county streets around our state. So it's very subjective. It's very variable. Those rates are up and down regardless of where you are based on traffic counts. So the DOT is also looking at this. Sometime this summer or late fall, we anticipate a new rule change to come from DOT that would also lower their fees and their right-of-ways. And so what we're trying to do tonight in this bill is to lower that fee on these companies that do not have retail customers. Let me repeat that. It's important for you to understand. The franchise fees of 3% for telephone are not impacted in this bill. Only if they have a telephone cable that's running through that municipality and they're paying the default rate, which could be as high as $5,000. This bill simply rolls that back to a fee of 5 cents per linear foot, which is roughly $250 to $300 per year. And so that is where you may have gotten some calls earlier today or this week from your mayors. This is an opportunity for us to lower this cost to the private providers. With all the federal funds that are coming, we anticipate a lot of expansion. When they expand into these other cities around the state, they will get new customers and they will generate more funds for the city. So we believe that the revenue loss that the cities are saying they will incur will be made up by the additional customers. Let me also say this: only 10% of the cities in Georgia currently charge this fee, this linear footage fee we call the default rate. Most cities do not charge it. The city of Atlanta, for example, does not charge the default rate. They only charge the 3% rate. And again, this bill does not change that. The rest of the bill is basically dealing with administrative changes in how they collect the fees and how they submit it. And with that, Mr. President, I'm happy to take questions, and then we will go over the amendments when the senator from the 47th comes up. Those are his amendments. We will let him explain that, and I believe he will support this bill as well. Mr. President, I'm happy to yield for questions.
It's quite the presentation. Chair recognizes the senator from the 19th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
I do.
Senator, you mentioned that we needed to have a good broadband bill every year, and I agree with you on that part. My question would be, aren't the telecoms and the cable companies working together to try to get broadband throughout all our communities?
They sure are.
Could you explain to me then, if you'd yield for another question, why are the cable companies against this bill?
The cable companies are paying a higher fee. Their franchise fees are 5 cents per dollar. So it's 5% of every dollar they bring in revenue they pay to the cities. They also pay it to the counties. They feel like they are at a disadvantage because they're already paying 5% versus a telephone company who is paying 3%. Their wishes were to make that parity the same. They wanted both the cable and the telephone companies to pay the 3%. We had an amendment for that, but it did not come through the committee because it was a late arrival amendment, but I believe that's something that this body needs to address in the future. I would tell you that the municipalities would really bow up against us doing that unless we could offset their loss of their revenue. That would be more significant.
Well,
But I
Senator,
do believe it would be worthy of looking at it.
Well, Senator, yield to another
I
series
do.
of questions. You mentioned traffic count as well, and it sounded like roads that have a high traffic count have a higher cost on the right-of-way.
That's correct.
Those would also be our more urban areas, correct?
That is correct.
Why would it help us to reduce the cost for telecoms in urban areas when it seems like they already have broadband?
Because the urban areas that are not defined the same with the DOT numbers as you would think of them as Atlanta, like the census number. So for example, a city with 5,000 or more population would be classified under the urban category. So I believe a 5,000 person city is a small city. They classify it as urban.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, sir.
You have no more questions.
Thank you so much. I would support amendment number 3. I believe the chairman from Transportation will ask us to withdraw 1 and 2 when he comes up.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 9th to speak to the bill. He waves. She waves. Sorry. Chair recognizes the senator from the 47th to speak to the amendments. 1, 2, and 3.
Well, you know, ladies and gentlemen, the guy standing behind me knows a little bit about baseball. Said you get 3 strikes, and if you can't get it right, you're out. So for me, just go ahead and throw 1 and 2 away. We're going to start with number 3. And when I get back, I'll ask that we withdraw amendments 1 and 2. Said the amendment 3, basically, I want you to think about this from a policy standpoint. If you think about a pipe going through town that's got broadband through it, what this amendment does is encourages those people that are running through town that don't serve anybody, you're going to pay a higher rate. You're going to pay 19 cents a foot. If you go through town and say City Hall wants to get service, or residents in town want to get service, and they provide service to any customer in town, it'll drop the rate to 5 cents. For me, I'll use a city y'all heard about last year, the city of Colbert. This past summer, a broadband company came right through the middle of town, 50 feet away from City Hall. City Hall does not have high-speed internet. In this case, if they would serve City Hall or anybody in the city, it would drop that rate if that city charges the fee. If they don't charge the fee, said that's well and good. But for those cities, and the senator from the 51st said that there's about 10% of the cities that do, this is a good thing. So I'll ask for your favorable consideration on amendment number 3. And I will tell you, just so you understand, this is like getting a little haircut. It's not like taking a scalping. Our friends at GMA are supportive of amendment number 3.
You have no questions. Chair recognizes the senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to withdraw amendment number 1 and amendment number 2.
Senator from the 47th has moved that amendments number 1 and 2 be withdrawn. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and they are both withdrawn. Would any other senator like to speak to the bill or amendment number 3? The chair sees none. The question is on the adoption of amendment number 3 by the senator from the 47th. Is there objection to adoption of the amendment? The chair hears none, and amendment number 3 is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill as amended? All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 34, the nays are 15. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended. Mr. Secretary, will you please read the report of the Rules Committee?
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.10, the Committee on Rules recommends the following legislation do pass by substitute. House Bill 44 do pass by substitute. House Bill 327 do pass by substitute. House Bill 392 do pass by substitute. House Bill 498 do pass by substitute. House Bill 577 do pass by substitute. House Bill 588 do pass by substitute. House Bill 591 do pass by substitute. House Bill 333 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Mullis of the 53rd District. Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Resolution 300 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Mullis of the 53rd. Chairman. This completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the pro tem for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to take Senate Resolution 281 off the table.
Ms. Secretary, will you please read the caption?
Senate Resolution 281 by Senator Miller of the 49th and others, a resolution creating the Senate Study Committee on Violence Against Healthcare Workers and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Rules recommends that this resolution do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Mullis of the 53rd. Chairman. This completes the order, Mr. President.
The pro tem has asked for unanimous consent for Senate Resolution 281 to be taken off the table. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it's removed from the table. The chair recognizes the pro tem to speak to the measure.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I bring before you Senate Resolution 281. It is a violence against healthcare workers resolution for a study committee. Workplace violence has been a grave concern particularly over this past year. Violence against healthcare workers has increased significantly, and workplace violence increases cost and the diversion of resources for hospitals and healthcare providers. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll yield the will.
You have no questions.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the body's favorable consideration.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against Senate Resolution 281? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none and the main question is ordered. The questions on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0. The resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. All right, I want to bring the Senate's attention that you've all are in the process of receiving a supplemental rules calendar on your desk. So I just want to make sure that everybody sees it. I think it's already been passed out on the blue sheet, but you have a supplemental rules calendar as a function of this evening's rules meeting. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we engross House Bill 160, House Bill 333, House Bill 498, House Bill 574, House Bill 575, House Bill 588. They are all finance bills.
The Majority Leader has moved that House Bill 160, House Bill 333, House Bill 498, House Bill 574, House Bill 575, and House Bill 588 be engrossed. Is there objection? There is objection. The Majority Leader waives. Would the Minority Leader like to speak? She waives. We're entering it in the computer on the fly here. Give us a second. All right, all those in favor of engrossing the bills mentioned by the Majority Leader, vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 33, the nays are 16, and the Senate has engrossed House Bill 160, 333, 498, 574, 575, and 588. You have before you a consent calendar of resolutions expressing the will of the Senate. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? The chair sees none. The question is on the consent calendar expressing the will of the Senate. Is there objection to agreeing to the reports of the committees which are favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The reports of the committee are agreed to. The question is on the adoption of the resolutions. All those in favor vote yea. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. This is the consent calendar expressing the will of the Senate. It's on your desk. White sheet. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the adoption of the resolutions, the yeas are 43, the nays are 5, and all the resolutions on the consent calendar have received the requisite constitutional majority and are therefore adopted. All right, now you have before you a consent calendar of study committee resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar of study committees? What purpose does the senator from the 31st rise?
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 29th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 29th is excused. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? The chair hears none. The questions on the consent calendar for the study committee resolutions. Is there objection to agreeing the report of the committees which is favorable to the adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? Chair hears none. The report of the committees are agreed to. The questions on the adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Have all, got one coming? Okay. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar, the yeas are 47, the nays are 2, and all the resolutions on the calendar, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore adopted. The chair recognizes the majority leader.
Mr. President, I move that we table the supplemental rules calendar.
The majority leader has moved that this chamber table the rest of the supplemental rules calendar. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the remainder of the supplemental rules calendar bills are placed on the table. Chair continues to recognize the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 6 minutes, I'm going to move that the Senate stand adjourn until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, 31 March 2021.
Any particular reason?
Because that's what I had in the pool over here.
I knew that was going to be the answer. Mr. Secretary, please read your announcements. Yeah, no worries.
State and local governmental operations will meet at 11 in room 307 CLOB. This completes the order, Mr. President.
Does any senator wish to make an announcement? The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until Wednesday, March 31st, 2021 at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Chair recognizes the pro tem for an announcement.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I apologize I didn't bring this up earlier. We have tests Wednesday morning, 7 to 11 a.m. Please don't miss it. That way you know you can go home COVID-free. Thank you very much.
And before we adjourn, I want to take a second to thank the Secretary's office. Every time we come up with a great idea, it creates 18 inches of paperwork on their behalf. They've worked so hard and diligently, and they're so organized. It's amazing to see the work that they do. Every one of them are just absolute experts at their jobs. Thank y'all. And to make this chamber look good takes a lot of work. All right, I think the ayes have it, and the Senate stands adjourned.